On this week's GTA 5 O'Clock, GTA 5 is coming to Xbox One, PS4 and PC, and we've got the facts to prove it. We delve deeper into the High Life update and works of art in our Snapmatic competition. It's all here on this week's GTA 5 O'Clock. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of GTA 5 O'Clock. I'm your host James Jarvis and I'm joined as ever by co-host Dan Dawkins.
Damn, I'm excited today.
Lots of things to go through this week, Dan, but first some news, some actual breaking news right now is that Take-Two yesterday had a financial call and it's been revealed that Rockstar is working on a new gen game that's Xbox One, PS4, probably PC as well, which will come out this financial year. So we're thinking that is by March 2015 or even Christmas, Dan?
No, the Rockstar's financial year ends on March the 31st, 2015. So that's the window we're looking at. It's about 11 months from now.
Yeah, but it could be any time.
Yeah, any time within that period, but at maximum 10.5 to 11 months.
Yeah, so obviously the first point of call is GTA 5, right?
Yeah, we can talk around the options and what it could be. There's other IP, intellectual property that is, that Rockstar own. To say that it's anything other than GTA 5 on new-gen systems, as Rockstar or Take-Two describe them, is almost an act of madness. And I'm about to prove that with some rigorous financial analysis.
And given the time frame, is almost impossible as well to be like anything else.
Yeah, to throw the Fantasia options out there, could it be Table Tennis 2?
Or something like that?
Maybe, but I don't think so. Like, that was really a tech test of the new Rage engine.
Yeah.
It was not a financial thing. In today's increasingly speculated upon financial environment, if they would go to their shareholders and say, Rockstar's big release this year is Snooker Pro, or whatever it is. Absolutely no chance. So discount a fringe niche tech test title like that. Not to say that Rockstar probably wouldn't have the strength to push it through, but it won't be that.
It's just that's the only other option, really, given the time frame, that it'd have to be like such a small, sort of enclosed title that it would have to be something like that.
Given that Rockstar North only finished production on GTA 5 probably at the late summer, early autumn of last year, July, August time. The Rockstar North, in their full capacity, would only have had time to have started a game in earnest since then. It's only been 7 or 8 months since then. Even if you project another 10 months in the future, an 18-month AAA game release is almost virtually unprecedented.
And it's not how Rockstar make their games either. They spend years developing games rather than just, a year.
No chance. So let's just write off a novelty one-off release.
Gone.
That's insane. Now, could it be a classic returning IP, something like, let's say, Bully? Right, Bully was, it's a fan's favourite, the houses love it. Again, Bully, massive risk attached. It's a bit of a vanity project at the time, released on PS2, was it? Good grief, that's so long ago. I just don't think there's the market for it. Given the pressure on new IP, I can't see there's any way it would be Bully 2. If it was, who's been making it? Have Rockstar North been secretly working on that full production in the interim? Absolutely not. It's not Bully 2. Could it be Midnight Club? Well, there is more to suggest this. The series has sold 18.5 million copies so far. That's one of the big boy games of all time, really. It's really great. And in fact, it's sold more than Red Dead, which has sold 15 million copies. Now, it's worth pointing out that Midnight Club has got more installments in that series, so obviously it's sold more. Red Dead's effectively like a one-game series. I know there are others, but there's the big breakout Red Dead Redemption is where the bulk of those sales have come from. But again, for context, GTA is a 150 million copy sales series. GTA 5 alone has sold 33 million copies. GTA 5 is the big boy. So do we think it's Midnight Club? Looking at the way EA have sort of sidestepped away from the racing market, it's a market effectively in decline. In social terms, it's not the hot ticket it was. Maybe the sort of custom tuning dubs culture is not quite what it was. Do I think that's the next release? No. Okay, so I'm going to write that off. Big question, the most likely, is it Red Dead? Do I think Red Dead's coming at some stage? Yes. Do I think Red Dead's coming now? Only, let's say, like we just projected, it's been, 8 months since they finished work on GTA 5. There's another 11 months maximum in this fiscal window. So are Rockstar North going to throw themselves in full production onto Red Dead 2 and get that game out within 18 months, effectively? No. It's too big a stretch. And you look at the original Red Dead, that was like a 6-year project.
Yeah, exactly. And we saw even like just a few months ago, the new job listings for jobs at Rockstar, which included like environment artist, multiplayer, structural, like coding stuff and all of that stuff. Like if they're only recruiting a few months ago, there is no way anyone is making a game in 18 months of that kind of scale.
It's astonishing. And let's say we did run with the idea that it was Red Dead 2. When are Rockstar going to start talking about it? If they started talking about it 5 minutes after you listened to this show, they would have 11 months, 10.5 to 11 months to announce, promote, set all the marketing plans in place, get all the platforms to produce, to develop, everything for that game in what would be the shortest promotional window for any Rockstar game in living memory. Now, to contextualise that, if you look at some of the other games when they've announced and how far they were from release, the original Red Dead was announced, and this is announced as in it's a Rockstar game and we've got an intention to release it. It was announced in February 2009 and then was released in May 2010. That's a 15-month window from like announced to release. It's worth pointing out that game was an open secret. It had been on Capcom's books. It had ended up with Rockstar. Yeah. There was no mystery to it. It had been floating around in the ether for literally 3 to 6 years. Now, so the announcement window might have been only 15 months, but that's when Rockstar started putting the pressure on to get it out. That's 15 months. L.A. Noire, very similar story. The game had been like locked in development hell. Brendan McNamara and his team had it at Team Bondi. Rockstar picked it up. They did their first Game Informer cover in March 2010. The game came out in May 2011, so that was like a 13-month window. That is closer to the time we've got, but again, it's worth pointing out that game was in development for about 5 years.
Yeah.
And again, there was a lot of noise about it. It was well established even before the cover with Game Informer. So, like, I just don't see any way at all they're going to release a new IP or even like something like a Red Dead and get it pushed out in that window of 10 to 11 months. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying it's astonishingly unlikely.
Yeah.
Now, having thrown all those games, the games, and Max Payne, are you having a laugh? There's literally
You're
no way.
writing that off, but not even a next-gen version.
Absolutely no chance. Like, Max Payne, there's only been a Max Payne very recently. That's one of the chief reasons. Secondly, it underperformed commercially and critically. So there's no reason that's coming back. That's just not happening. Forget that.
Fine.
Agent's the last big curveball. Could Agent finally come to life? Right now, bear in mind, there's all sorts of other things to consider. Agent was always mooted as a PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah.
Right? So it'll be coming out only on PlayStation 4. And as you'll see as I go through the numbers just in a second, if this game was only coming out on PS4, Agent, to make the revenue Rockstar are predicting, would have to be the most single successful exclusive game of all time to get anywhere close to the numbers Rockstar are predicting for this. So is it Agent? I'd be, again, astonished.
There's nothing to say, playing devil's advocate, that could have shifted though, right? They could have taken it off being a PlayStation exclusive.
Yes, absolutely. They could say now Agent's coming out and it's on every platform. That's a possibility.
And it's the kind of game that's been, like as you said before, thrown around for years now about, is it in development, is
could
this
be.
kind of thing happening?
And it would sort of tie up like it would be an 11-month, let's say 10.5-month window. I just think it's such a thing. They have to first of all explain why it's gone away, why it's no longer a PlayStation exclusive, if it even is. Who knows? That game clearly has existed. I know people who've seen it. It was in development back on the PS2 at one stage. Again, it's been around forever. I just don't think that is the pillar release for Rockstar in the next 10 or 11 months. And let's bear this in mind, right? Rockstar are effectively a one big game a year company, right? If they choose any of these other options apart from GTA, what they're saying is, we looked the biggest selling game of 2013 in the mouth and the opportunity to make all that money from it and decided to go with Bully. There's no one alive who's going to sanction that decision.
Okay, so we're saying it's GTA 5, almost certainly. Now, you've got some other figures as well that says it's not just coming to Xbox One and PS4, it's also going to be a PC release, which we have speculated on in the past, but you've got actual figures to back it up now.
Yeah, we're careful about the way I couch this, but we can look very accurately at the money that this new gen release is going to make. Now, Rockstar have said, this is on the investor call that's available through Take-Two's website, you can listen to it, it's publicly available. It says, now Rockstar, their releases over the next, or their accounting share of Take-Two's overall revenue over the next year is 45% of what the company are projecting to make. Now, the company are projecting to make, well, they're saying approximately $1.35 to $1.45 billion. Right? Now, if you take 45% of that as being coming from Rockstar, you've got a figure of 0.6 billion or $600 million. Right?
That's a lot of money.
That's coming from Rockstar's share of the company. Now, where could that break down? Right, now some of it could be sales of GTA 5 on PS3 and Xbox 360.
Yeah.
That's entirely possible, but if you look at the volume of GTA 5's already sold, 33 million copies, it's fair to say that game has probably topped out in terms of its sort of saturation curve. I'm sure it will continue to sell possibly a few more million, but that is not going to get them near to that figure of $600 million. So that's going to be a tiny part, not a tiny part, a part of the revenue pie. Now, you look at GTA 5, that sold 33 million copies, right? A big pillar release from Rockstar over the next 11 months will be, presuming they elect to sell it in this fashion, the single-player DLC they've been teasing for 6 months, the significant single-player DLC. Let's make the assumption that essentially it's The Lost and Damned, or it's The Ballad of Gay Tony. It's like a 10 to 15-hour standalone single-player thing that they will attempt to sell at $20, right? Which is the price that $19.99 is the price The Lost and the Damned came out for on Xbox 360. Now, if they sold, right, every single person who owns GTA 5 on PS3 and 360 a copy of that DLC, it would in fact take you up to, amazingly, almost the $600 million figure, right? Assuming every single person buys it. That's like, it would give you a revenue of $660 million. So, hey, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, but that is extremely unlikely, isn't it?
Extremely unlikely. Hardly any game in history sells at a 1-to-1 attach rate DLC to actual game.
I guess you're lucky if you get like 30%, probably.
And again, we've got figures on this. So if you look at The Lost and Damned when that came out, that was a big pillar release for Xbox 360. It was an exclusive. They had sold at one stage about 1 million units of The Lost and the Damned when there were about 7 million copies of Lost and Damned on Xbox.
Right.
So the attachment rate was about 15%. So if you extrapolate that 15% attachment rate to the copies of GTA 5 in the world, which is 33 million, you're looking at 5 million copies of the new single-player DLC.
For $20.
So $20 each is $100 million, right? So now we've got, out of our $600 million figure we're looking to hit, we've got $100 million that's coming from sales of the old single-player DLC, and we've got, like, let's say 20 million from, or whatever it is, 20 to 50 million coming from sales of GTA on current-gen consoles.
PS3
so we've still got a
PS6.
huge $500 million gap to plug, right, which is big.
It's a lot, yeah.
It's a really big. Now, initially I worked out my figures based on the fact, I just thought, let's just say it was all coming from one game.
Yeah.
So we're talking, like, I did my maths based on 600 million, even if you do it on 500 million, it's a lot. So I divided, like, 600 million, or 0.6 billion, by the copy cost of a $50 game. So that one game would need to sell, it's, 6 billion divided by 50, it would need to sell 12 million copies, right? This next gen release.
New thing.
Yeah, 12 million copies. Now, given that, GTA 5 sold 33 million, this sounds really achievable, it's really easy. But again, to contextualise, Red Dead in its entire life has only sold, like, 15 million. So in 10 months, they'd have to release something, and God knows when it's even coming out,
Yeah.
You would have to sell in those 3 months, the time after it came out, that many copies. That's astonishing. Now, given that it's a next-gen console release, so it's on PS4 and Xbox One, there are currently 7 million PS4 consoles. So even if they sold to every single PS4 owner, it's not enough.
No.
Right, and that literally does not happen.
No, you can't. You don't get a game that's everyone in the entire world who has that console owns.
No chance. And let's say, again, there's another 3 to 5 million Xboxes. Microsoft haven't confirmed figures. The last time they spoke was in January. They said there was 3 million consoles, right? So you've got between 10 and 12 million next-gen systems currently in existence. If you sell to every single one of those people, you have your sort of 12 million copy sales. We said you need to get up to 600 million to make that figure up, right? That's not going to happen.
No, you. I guess even half of that is questionable.
Yeah, even a 50% attach rate would leave you all at sea and having to plug, let's say, like a $100 to $250 million gap in your projections. Where's that money coming from? Well, the logical thing would be to say PC.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's very tricky tracking historical sales for GTA 4 on PC because a lot of it is digital revenue, it's Steam. There's so much lost in piracy. There's no clear, transparent accounting with this sort of stuff. But the latest figures I'd found was that, the estimates were that within about a year and a half of GTA 4 being on PC, it sold somewhere between 1.5 to 2 million copies.
Okay.
So again, you start to see there that if you extrapolate it up, there's more revenues coming from that, and that's like 2 million. And if 2 million copy sales from that, you're getting, like, let's say optimistically 6 million copy sales selling at 50% of the existing PS4 and Xbox One user base. You're up to about 8 million sales. We need to make 12 million. Then if you say, oh, well, all right, it's not going to be all about those sales. It's going to be about the sales of the single-player DLC. It's going to be about old revenues from the other games, plus ongoing revenues from GTA Online.
Yeah, and don't forget the digital cash cards, which are still like the number one selling thing on the PlayStation Network. If you open that up to next gen and PC people, you've opened up a whole another stream of revenue there of people just buying virtual money.
Yeah, but I can't see any way they're going to plug these books without throwing an entirely new format into the equation. They would not only be launching like the most successfully attach rate driven new IP launch or otherwise onto next gen systems, but they'd be accounting for this massive gap the PC didn't have. And as we've said a million times on the show, there's all sorts of reasons why it could and should come out on PC. If you look at the traditional gap between the GTA 4 release to it coming out on PC, you look at the fact the game literally existed, and this is from the Bug Log Files episode, we can put the links in the description. The game did exist on PC, albeit a development PC. I know there's a difference between that and it being a final PC game, but the assets have existed. It has existed. So for all those reasons, do we think this new game, or do I think this new game is GTA 5 on PS4, Xbox One and PC? Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do, because the alternative is to literally ignore the biggest game series in the world on next-gen systems. And given that they've made a commitment ongoing to GTA Online, there's no way that's happening. As I discussed with James, like if you're going to release GTA Online on its own without the single-player component, you've already gone to the effort of making Los Santos. Why not put the missions in?
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Dan. Okay, so finally then, before we move on, I'm going to ask... We think it's coming to next-gen consoles. Well, 99% sure it's going to be on PS4, it's going to be on Xbox One, it's going to be on PC. Do you think Rockstar obviously don't appear at E3 themselves, but in the past, Sony and Microsoft have both had elements of that game on stage. Do you think either of them will talk about it at E3 going, hey, we've got it on next-gen?
I don't know. As in, I think we talked last week, I was saying that the ground might be ripe for one of them to step on stage and go, we've secured some measure of exclusivity with it, given the fact nothing's been said to date. Rockstar don't have to do that. It all depends on whether they're getting leverage with cash or not. I expect us to know about the existence of the games on one or both of the next-gen systems around about the time of E3. Because if they're not at E3, they'll be talking around the same time as E3.
Yeah.
They did it with GTA 5 last year. They released trailers to steal the limelight from all of E3, because that's how powerful GTA is.
Yeah. I mean, it could be like that thing where Sony will go on stage saying, we've got GTA 5 on next gen, which doesn't mean it isn't coming out on Xbox One. It's just they'll be the one that announce it, and they'll be the one that gets the coverage because they've done the announcement of the show.
And like, when do I think GTA 5 will come out on these systems? I would say probably at earliest like October, November.
You think November, right, for Christmas?
This time, or possibly even the start of next year. Like, there's a bit in the conference call where they do say the majority of their fourth quarter revenue, which would be like kind of Jan to late March, was coming from next gen NBA, Borderlands 2, and Borderlands the new pre-sequel, and GTA. But that could be GTA sales because it was only released in November and it's still trickling on and it's still massive.
All right, well, let us know what you think about that in the comments below, and we'll move on to something on current gen systems now. PS3 and 360 got the High Life update yesterday. If you've probably been playing it already. If you haven't, we've got a visual guide. The link will be up soon, which will take you through all of the new apartments, cars, suits, weapons, the mental state, new player celebrations, and all that kind of thing. So click the link on screen, which will be up when it's available, to go and check that out. But little things in that update that you might not have seen, we're going to go through now. Interestingly, Dan, the word beta has been taken out of the GTA Online content creator, so now Rockstar feel that that is a stable enough platform to be an official thing now.
Yeah, it's official. It's not beta. It's nothing. It's some interesting point from the investor call last night was that Rockstar confirmed that they talked about the development tools and how robust they are. There's been over 7 million pieces of user-created content within GTA Online since the game launched.
Wow. Okay, a couple more things. We'll just fire through these. The ability to play online as a temporary character during an outage has been removed. So nowadays, if the Rockstar Cloud services are offline and a player attempts to enter online, they'll be moved back to single player. So that means if the cloud services are down, you can't play GTA Online anymore.
Yeah, and again, that's actually quite interesting. One is because the temporary character was only really like a patch fix because it went so horrifically wrong in the early days, and they had to let people get online somehow while they resolved all the cloud issues. Now, pushing people to definitely live in the cloud has got an advantage, not only for now in terms of the way systems work, but if they were to migrate you from one console system to, let's say, a new gen system, having your character and stats live permanently in the cloud is the way they do that.
And just thinking, Dan, off the bat, that transfer from current gen to new gen machines could also come at a price. If they're looking to make money, you could go, hey, it's $5 to move your character across.
Oh no, that would cause an outrage.
It would cause an outrage, but it would make you a hell of a lot of money.
They'd never do that. They'd never explicitly ask you to do. There'd be such an outrage.
Well, I'm just saying, just throwing it out there.
I mean, that's something that's definitely someone might have mentioned in a
$1.
board meeting.
What about $1?
No, it's even the notion of doing it is too outrageous. But they'd hide that charge within pay this to upgrade for other stuff, but you would never explicitly do a porting charge. There would be blood.
Okay, fine. A couple of other fixes. It's fixed various issues where players will be able to get through walls and enter restricted building interiors.
Haha.
This is obviously to combat glitching and people trying to find secret hidden things in the world. Rockstar obviously trying to cut down on that.
That's like the bank location, isn't it? The secret high school.
Exactly like that, yeah. Players are now able to purchase and use more than one set of body armour. This works along the same lines as purchasing and using snacks, which is a good idea. So now if you run out of body armour
brilliant.
in a deathmatch, pop another one on.
That's great news for me.
Exactly. Another great addition here. So long as the player has enough cash in their wallet or bank, they will now be able to purchase items without having to move the cash around. So you won't have to do that, I've got 15 grand in my bank, but I want to buy this $1 grand shotgun. I'll go on the phone and move all the stuff. That's gone. Don't need that anymore. Fixed an issue where it's possible for players to start a race facing the wrong way. Don't know if that happened to you, Dan, a lot. You ended up at the back of a lot of races.
I think that was for other reasons.
Fixed an issue where all players wearing masks in an apartment would lose them and become wet if the host player took a shower.
How weird.
So I don't know how you'd do that. Fixed several exploits where players can become invisible. That would be weird. Don't want that anymore. And finally, the maximum rank for GTA Online has now been capped at 8,000. So if you guys want to work your way up to rank 8,000, go for it.
Oh my God.
We will not be doing that because it's a long way. You can find all the extra support links in the description below. You can go and check out all of the minor updates down there. Moving on then to the Snapmatic competition, and last week's theme was art, very artfully suggested by you, Dan. We had loads of entries, and loads of them were really good, actually. Thank you for all of them on Twitter and Facebook and in the comments below. And also thanks to the people in the crew who went round and took a load of pictures and sent them all in via Steve Stacey. Dan, we will start with this one by Adam Taylor. Now, you've picked this out because you love a bit of yoga, I think.
Yeah, I want to be clear, like, obviously art is open to interpretation, and there are different people who will tell you different things about what art means. Now, what I think it doesn't mean, which is what a lot of people have done, is I took a nice picture of the sunset.
Which is arty.
It's arty, but it's not necessarily art with a meaning or with a something unique in its construction that makes it artful, as in you had to perform a certain set of conditions to get to that point. Technically, it wasn't as challenging. It was just a beautiful picture.
Yeah.
Now, on the technical level, I would say this is art. This is a wonderful shot. Like compositionally, there's a good central pillar line running straight through it. The shadowing's really interesting because it looks like you've got a yoga man with a giant radio mast peen. So that's quite amusing. And more than anything, it's just compositionally a really fun shot. So I think, is there art in this image? Yes, definitely, because it's of a certain technical construction.
Now, last week you promised people that you might rate art. Are you going to hold true to that claim? Or not? Or should we just move on?
Move on.
Okay. This is milk-fed, a beautiful shot of the old American flag there.
Yeah, now this would fall into my first category of this is merely a landscape shot, but it isn't, because I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that the flag is everything you need to know about this image. And what this is saying is, this is America, this is modern America. It is these weird, is that a power station, or is it?
Yeah, I think so, some kind of power line station.
So this is modern industrial America, and it's sort of stark, it's bleak, and behind the sort of the big, in front of the big city, or hidden away from the big city, is this industrial thoroughfare. And I think there's some symbolism in that image, which may or may not be fair, and you may have got lucky, but still well done.
All right, moving on. Biko 2012. Now, when you saw this, Dan, you were very excited that you'd found actual art.
Well, it's purely aesthetically arty, and again, this is about aesthetics of art. This is an abstraction of an image. And I just think, again, it's a skyscraper, right? Like it is a skyscraper, I think. But again, it's the fact that it makes you question what it is. The light and shade's really interesting. And again, in itself, I think like any big high-rise building, it's saying, and you start to think about it and go, well, what's going on in each of those rooms? Why are only certain lights on? Where are the people who've not in the apartment at that time?
I think it's a reflection. I'm throwing that out there.
A reflection of what?
Of the city on some panes of glass. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It's all down to interpretation, I guess. Well, that's what art is.
Exactly. So I think that's a beautiful, apart from aesthetically being very pleasing, it's a great abstract image.
All right, on to our next runner-up here, and we've got David Dumfrey. Now, he sent in a couple, but I think this one was one of his best ones. It's a great shot of there, and the lighting is very good. Again, good use of shadows.
Yeah, now he's from inside like a cave here, is he? Now, the only reason I think this shot deserves to be qualified as art is purely because of where the entrance of the cave is, and you can see the mountain range, is the line from the mountain range is carried on in the internal wall of the cave. So technically, this is a very artful execution of this shot.
Again, I'd suggest an accident.
Yeah, probably a lucky accident, but for me, it's tricked me into thinking it's art because he's created the shadow line on the inside reflects, so it's like, almost like an X-ray of the mountain range in the distance, but portrayed on the internal wall. Arty.
Right, and our winner this week then is Mike 2882. And I think both of us, when we saw this, went, wow, that's an incredible shot. And it just, it doesn't need any words really, but you should give it some.
Yeah, good. Thanks for that, Billy. Yes, it is, it's, I guess, the Virgin Mary or some sort of angel figure. That's got to be Mary, right? I don't know who else it would be. But just, praying, almost like praying for forgiveness for our sins. And, symbolically enough, there's someone lying there in a pool of blood. And, for GTA, this does feel almost like this captures a lot of the contrast within GTA, the sense that whilst there's a lot of bad activities in GTA, it's not an immoral game. There's a lot of virtue in it. It's very light and shade, and I think this singular image captures a lot about what is true about GTA, and it's quite an amoral universe. And while there is ill, there is forgiveness. You know, there is friendship, there is hate. It's a game of contrasts, and this image gets it just right.
All right, so congratulations to you, Mike2882. Very well done. We'll expect more of your work in the future. And talking of the future, we should pick next week's topic, Dan. So the topic for next week's Snapmatic competition is
love, which is love.
Love. A little bit late for Valentine's Day, but that's fine. That's just how we roll here. So any kind of interpretation you like about love, do what you want, really. Don't go down the normal stereotypical route, because that's probably not what we want to see. But something a bit abstract and a bit special. Love is your theme for next week's Snapmatic competition. Okay, moving on to a brief bit of crew news. The crews are going very well, I'm told. If they're not, please let us know in the comments and we'll get that sorted out. But the crew now has a second official vehicle as requested by you guys. So the first one was the Sand King XL, but apparently they needed a small car for getting around and doing sensible things, because that car is ridiculous. So now there's the Abe 9F and the 9F Cabrero, which live alongside the Sand King XL as official crew cars. So if you want to go and get a crew car, get one of them, stick a badge on it. This week's event is called Living the High Life, in recognition of the High Life update coming out this week. And it is on Friday with a start time of 7 PM BST. Invites will be sent out at 6:30 BST. Look out for Steve Stacey on Twitter and at GTA Video Clock Twitter handle for more information on that when the time comes. Unfortunately, I know you're going to be as devastated as I am, but there was no challenge down this week, Dan.
Yeah, no challenge down. I'm afraid I am otherwise committed, so I'm afraid we can't do it. And I'm saving myself for a special one next week.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll be back with a vengeance next week. I've got a great collection of challenges, but if you do think of any in the meantime, put them in the comments below. Get in touch with us on Twitter or on Facebook. So that's about it for this week's GTA 5 o'clock. If you do want more information on the High Life update, check out our visual guide, which should be up around the same time as this, which will go through everything from apartments to cars to suits to weapons, and even a little look at the mental state in there as well. So if you want to go and check out the High Life update before you download it, or to see where to spend your money, go and check that out. But until then, Dan, I think we'll say goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye. And don't forget, if you want to find out more of my mental maths for GTA 5 on Next Gen and PC, I'm hopefully writing a story for PC Gamer over the next 24 hours. The link will appear in the About description when it's time to release it.
Okay, thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you all again next Wednesday at 5 o'clock.